Mary accidentally discovered that her parents had secretly swapped her college admission letter with her sister's, but surprisingly, she wasn't the least bit sad. Instead, she calmly waited for them to come talk to her, and just as she expected, her mother soon approached her, saying they needed to go to the government office to switch the names on some documents. She thought her refusal would lead to a long argument, but to her mother's surprise, Mary agreed immediately. What her mother didn't know was that Mary had already submitted a written complaint to the Education Bureau. You see, Mary wasn't just any ordinary girl. She had lived through this once before. In her previous life, her parents and sister had done the exact same thing. Her sister, who hadn't qualified for college, took her place at a top university, lived the life that should have been Mary's, and eventually became a glamorous CEO admired by everyone. Mary, on the other hand, had been sold off to an old, crippled man in the village. She suffered under his abuse every single day. It wasn't until much later that she overheard her sister gloating. Her admission letter had been swapped because Mary wasn't their biological child. Crushed by betrayal and despair, Mary ended her life. But by some twist of fate, or maybe divine mercy, Mary was reborn on the very day she received her acceptance letter. This time, she wouldn't stay silent. She secretly gave the mailman a sealed report and asked him to deliver it to the Education Bureau. And now, everything was going exactly as she had planned. Soon, investigators would come to her home, and her wicked sister would finally face justice. The next day, villagers gathered to celebrate the news of Mary's sister getting into college. Everyone's attention was on her sister, who wasn't content just with the praise. She mocked Mary for studying like her life depended on it, yet still falling short of someone who barely attended school. Mary was at a loss for words, when suddenly, the village chief's son showed up. He was Mary's childhood friend. In her previous life, after she was forced to marry the crippled man, he gave up on her. But in this life, she still had her dignity, only to find out that the boy she once loved had already cozied up to her sister. Turns out, he had only been interested in Mary because of her good grades. He'd planned to ride her coattails once she became successful. But now that her sister had taken her place at a top university, he switched sides without hesitation, and even mocked Mary publicly. Then came the final blow. He announced that he and Mary's sister were getting engaged. It was only then that Mary saw his true colors. Unable to hold back any longer, Mary stood up and told everyone the truth. The one who had actually been admitted to college wasn't her sister, it was her. Her sister had stolen her acceptance letter. The moment she said it, her parents rushed up and slapped her across the face. They warned her to stop stirring trouble or they'd beat her to death. They quickly told the villagers that Mary was lying, that she'd gone crazy from jealousy. The villagers laughed at Mary, calling her delusional. But Mary shook off her parents' grip and said she had proof. She demanded that her sister show the admission letter to everyone. The crowd started to get curious. No one from their village had ever gotten into college before. They wanted to see it too. Mary's father, visibly nervous, tried to stop her. Her mother and sister began yelling insults, calling Mary a failure who didn't deserve to even see the letter. Her sister went so far as to say they'd marry Mary off to the village cripple. But Mary wasn't afraid. She warned her sister. Forging admission documents and tampering with college entrance results could land her 10 years in prison. Still, her sister refused to admit anything, not realizing that Mary was giving her one last chance. Then Mary pulled out the original admission letter from her pocket. She told everyone that the name on it had been altered. Gasps swept through the crowd. Looking closely, some villagers noticed signs the name had indeed been changed. Mary's mother snapped. She accused Mary of being ungrateful, saying they had raised her for years. What was the harm in giving her sister a chance at a better life? Mary exploded with rage. Didn't the years they lived together mean anything? She had worked herself to the bone for this family, helping out at home after school, tutoring her sister, giving up everything for them, and now they wanted to rob her of her one shot at changing her fate? Mary vowed that today, she would expose her sister's lies, but her sister wasn't backing down. She claimed Mary had no real proof and was just trying to ruin her. The villagers nodded in agreement until that very moment, when the inspection team from the Education Bureau arrived.